how much of a gift is this to the Tories?
Well, of course, it is a great gift because they've handled the messaging so badly, haven't they? As you said earlier, it's the worst kept secret in the world. They've now come open with it. But, you know, it is the bare facts of reality. That 28 billion was pie in the sky in the first place. None of what they've come up with on to replace it is a transition, which is what the public badly need in energy. They need a transition of how we move to a green energy without being scorched with our electricity and power bills. And that's what Labour haven't thought through, is how we transition to it.
Jonathan, just in terms of this, I was counting it's the 14th, I think, the U-turn from the Labour Party. Now, Rishi Sunak has his own problems as well. He's reached a new low in his popularity. 70% of people believe that their opinion of him is unfavourable. How much of this is a gift to the Conservatives? Because people were drifting towards the Labour Party, believing they were possibly a new party of fiscal responsibility. Does that all change now?
Well, I think it's a part of a gradual change. I think, as I've said to you before, in the end, when it comes to the election, with any luck for Rishi, people will say he set his stall out. He said he was going to sort out 5 things in particular, and he has done the majority of them. In fact, he'll hope he'll have done all of them, which is a very good place to start by saying, you know, I've actually had these problems. I'm dealing with them and have dealt with them. And what I said to you was going to happen has happened. And if he can say that, then all these U-turns will come into greater focus. And of course, as every day gets nearer to the election, you in the media and the Conservatives, and I'm a Conservative, will look very, very closely at every announcement they make and challenge them. And if they get to the election date where all that has become a pile of dust, then they're going to be in trouble.
Alicia, let me bring you in on this. This was a key economic policy for Labour. Rachel Reeves promising to be the first Green Chancellor. It was one of the few areas where we actually had a detailed policy set out. And now those details have all been scrapped.
Yes, and to be honest, it was quite rare that early before an election for an opposition party to give such a precise figure to a pledge. This was in 2021. The election was never going to be until quite a lot later down the line, and we now know that will be at some point this year. So to pin that figure 4 years, sorry, I can't count, between 21 and 24, 3 years on from where the election would be. I mean, that was a very, very bold thing for Labour to do. It was always going to be that way. And lots of people, even when it was first announced, were querying whether or not they would be able to stick to it.
Lord Marland, can I just bring you in again and talk about the future of the Conservative Party? We've got Liz Truss also launching her new book.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, this is on the back of the popcons, not popcorn, which it was called earlier on today, the popcons. We've got yet another rival faction here vying for the attention of the Conservative Party. What I think is odd is you've got a party in power with all these disparate groups all warring against each other. Many backbenchers also giving Rishi Sunak just 6 weeks, which ends next week with the by-elections in Wellingborough and Kingswood. How much of that is a litmus test as to what happens next?
Well, as we've discussed before, if the Conservative Party want to rip itself apart running up to election, they haven't got a chance, and it doesn't matter what Labour U-turns on. They'll be crucified at the polls, the ballot box, because people will not accept a divided party. I went to the PopCon event to observe and to see what was going on. It was very interesting, and interesting in particular, there was no disloyalty to the Prime Minister. It was merely to say, you know, these are Conservative values which Liz Truss has enunciated. These are the Conservative values. These are the issues that we're now facing. And we kind of need to get back to addressing those values and those issues.
Shouldn't they be doing that behind closed doors rather than in the full glare of the public?
Well, there is a case, but, you know, every think tank and every body wants to do a press release to say what they're thinking about. So I don't feel that it was that disingenuous, to be honest. I think it was a statement of what are the current issues, as any other think tank might suggest. Where it goes to, I really don't know. A lot will depend on what happens after the next election, and maybe it was a attempt to establish a leadership contest after the election. I'm absolutely sure they weren't trying to do it before the election.
Someone else,
but
Alicia.
I didn't see on the people who were speaking, the speakers, anyone who was probably potentially a leader of the Conservative Party, to be honest.